Ngayong udto kinatong tanen. We are celebrating now a solemnity that is considered a transfere. No? Usually in the liturgy, we are celebrating the Annunciation March 25, and that is exactly 9 months after that, December 25, we will be celebrating the birth of Jesus. And yet, due to the celebrations of the Holy Week and the octave of Easter, the solemnities of Easter, then the liturgy for the solemnity is transferred today, April 8th. However, the solemnity speaks a lot of good things and reminder for all of us in the economy of our salvation. First, the annunciation of the Lord speaks to us that God is indeed a promise keeper. For God, Yahweh, promised salvation. And that is why the prophets foretold about who the Messiah is. And even Isaiah uh, told us that there is the virgin birth of the Messiah. And this Messiah will be among us, to be like us. Because the second point of the Annunciation is that Jesus is the dawning of the salvation of humanity. It is because Annunciation follows the incarnation. Kundiin ang ato ang Ginoo nga misaad ka nato kaluwasan, nga mituman sa iyang kaluwasan, apan ang kaluwasan nga iyang giplano o gilaraw mauman ang iyang bugtong anak mahimugso nga sama kanato. And therefore the Annunciation speaks about that wonderful plan of salvation of God for humanity, that it's not just about the words of salvation, sama sa gisulti ni atong Good Friday, that we've been redeemed not by gold, tungod kay ang bili sa bulawan mukunhad, but we are redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Nga giluwas kita sa dugo, kay ang bili sa dugo dili mukunhad. And therefore, this solemnity of the Annunciation prepares our hearts that this is the wonderful way that God has to save humanity, to offer His only Son to be like us, assuming our nature to be the ultimate sacrifice. The sacrifice in the perspective of God, once and for all, that somehow bridges us back to the Father, that reconciles us back to the Father. And somehow, for me, the important aspect of the Annunciation is the collaboration between God and humanity. We know that there is no complete picture of the Annunciation without the Virgin Mary, especially her fiat. Labi na siyang pagtando, bisan pa man siguro siya naglibog kung tinud-anay ba yun ang anghel, no? Bisan pa siya siguro daghan og mga panghuna-huna kung unsay dangatan ako, kung ako ning tanduon. But with her trust and confidence, an example of how it is to work with God, of how it is to submit ourselves in the wonderful plans of God, this sort of collaborative work between God and humanity captures exactly that beauty in the Annunciation of the Lord, where the yes of the Blessed Virgin Mary is the key that unlocks the wonderful, the floodgates of the miracles, the wonders that God could ever do to humanity. And this speaks not only about that collaboration between God and the Blessed Virgin, that she became the mother of Jesus, the mother of the Son of God, but it could also be us. The story could also be ours. That the Lord has so many wonderful plans for us. But the question is, did we give our resounding yes? Are we generous enough, like the Blessed Virgin Mary, to submit our will to God's plan? What if we are questioning His plan? What if we are moved with doubts, just like Thomas in yesterday's gospel, that unless I can see the marks of His hands and put my fingers in the nail marks of His hands and my hands to His side, I will not believe. But the Blessed Virgin Mary teaches us, paves us the way of how God's plan to bear fruit in us, of how to complete God's plan in our lives. That is to say yes, to be always generous, to be always open in our hearts, to be always trusting. Because the Lord's plan is the greatest plan in our lives. Far more the best plans we thought for ourselves, but it is the plan of God as the best plans.